how to install OpenVPN on Pop! OS Linux 22.04. Okay, let's get started. Okay, the OpenVPN is a popular open source software application that implements virtual private network VPN techniques for creating secure point-to-point or site-to-site connections. The software is notable for its flexibility and is considered one of the most secure VPN protocols currently available. Widely used by individuals and organizations to protect their online privacy and data. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and install OpenVPN on Pop! OS Linux 22.04. Now, we can do it a couple different ways. We can do it from source by git cloning the source code and running through the extraction, build, compile, install steps from GitHub, or we can go to another site, to their own home, to their main site, the OpenVPN site, and we can install pre-compiled binaries, either a Debian package or an RPM package. Since we're on Pop and we're Ubuntu based, we're going to go with a Debian package. Now, in a quick little opinion piece about the pros and cons of source versus your package manager. From source, you have to manually keep track of new updates, patches, versions, and you probably have to go through some of the same you have to go through the same procedure each time there's a new release. Now, whether you have to uninstall what's already there or you can install over it, that's probably, that probably differs from package to package. But for the most part, you have to go through the build, install, process every time. And you have to keep track of when there's a new release. Now, when you use your package manager, APT in this case, and you add a repo to the sources list for APT, then that repo is part of the APT cache, and when you run your updates and upgrades in your terminal, that repo gets checked by your package manager, and if there's new code that's been added there by the developers of OpenVPN, then that code will be downloaded to your system and it will be installed. So, source is fine. It's good to know how to do things kind of manually, how things work under the hood. And again, that's one benefit. And then, of course, the downside is you have to manually monitor new releases. And when you do it with the package, Debian in this case, it's kind of, some of that's pretty much already done for you. You have to run through some steps to get it on your system, but the kind of nuts and bolts of it has kind of been extracted out, and it's kind of done for you. So there's a disadvantage there because you don't get your hands as dirty with Linux as you would if you were building from source. But your package manager manages everything for you, so you don't always have to spend time and energy keeping track of new releases and going through the process and whatnot. So there's pros and cons for compiling, building, compiling, and installing from source, and installing a pre-compiled binary package, Debian package in this case, since we're on Ubuntu. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to do it from a Debian package. So we're going to run through some steps. So it'll be a pre-built package is what it's termed as. So we're going to check for some packages that need to be installed, or some capabilities of our system have to be in place. Then we're going to download and install a key, and then we're going to add the repo, and then we're going to go ahead and update our APT cache, and then we're going to use APT to actually install the OpenVPN3, the OpenVPN package. And we're going to do all this in the terminal. Okay, first thing we're going to do before we start checking some things that need to be installed, I'm going to show you my repo manager. And here's my repo manager with repos that came with the system, and then some PPAs and some other official repo URLs that I've added to my system, like for Brave and whatnot, some other PPAs. But as you can see, if you scan it really quick with me, you'll see there's no OpenVPN. So once we're done with the process here, we can come back here and we'll look for the OpenVPN, and it should be here. And then APT will use this that entry in this list to install and manage OpenVPN. Okay, so we're done. This is the repo manager here from PopShop. Okay, so we'll come back and take a look at that in a minute. Now we're going to go to the terminal, and first we're going to ensure that our APT supports the HTTPS transport. In other words, is it installed, essentially? So we're going to go ahead and run the install command, and we're going to see what happens. Okay, good. You can see it went through the couple of steps here, and then it outputs this where it says that package that we're looking for is already the newest installed, 2.4.8, and okay, we're all good there. So we have that dependency or that package already installed that we have to have. Okay, we can go ahead and clear on that, and we can move on to the next step, which is going to be adding the repository key used by OpenVPN, by the OpenVPN package, Linux package. Okay, once you've keyed in this command here using the curl utility, and you have to make sure that the curl utility is installed on your system first, and then you can use curl to download the OpenVPN repository key used by the OpenVPN Linux package. So the first step is to install this key. Okay, so we're going to use curl, and we're going to download the key, and it's going to pipe that into this, and it's going to install the key in this this location here, in this path, with that GPG file extension. Okay, so once you've keyed all that in, we're going to go ahead and, okay, we need to go ahead and make sure that we're, so this is good. This actually happened, permission denied, because a lot of new users get panicky when they see that. Simply means that I need to be using sudo, the sudo package, or if you can, if you can switch to a root user, that would work as well, where the prompt becomes a hash mark. Otherwise, we can just use sudo to elevate to the root user level, and we could run this command this way now. Okay, yeah, so a couple times there it failed on me. The first time I didn't have the sudo, so it added that, and it still gave me a permission denied error. Was not expecting that, so went to the next option, which was to switch user. This was the su command, and then the dash means I'm going to change my working directory as well. So I'll not only be a root user, but my working directory will actually be the root user account, as opposed to being the root user with the working directory of my regular user. That's what this does right here. It changes you to root, and it gives you a new working directory as well. So yeah, I keyed that in, prompted me for my root password, which I keyed in, and then I was able to run that command that way. I think sudo should have worked. I'm not sure why it did not. It's always worked for me before. It didn't work this time. I need to look into that later. I was denied permission to do that, so I had to go to actual root user here. As you can see, I'm the root user, and my prompt is the hash mark, which means I'm in the root user environment, not the $ for the regular user. Okay, so we had to escalate this way, but we were able to run that command for curl to download and install the repo key. Okay, so we can go ahead and clear this and move on to the next step here. Okay, with the key installed, we can go ahead and install the proper repo URL to our sources list. Now we're gonna replace the $distro variable here with the release name of the Ubuntu distro that we're based on. So we're based on Ubuntu 22.04, and the release name is actually called Jammy Jellyfish, but we're only going to use Jammy. So we're gonna go through the URL here, and we're going to look for that distro variable here, $distro here. Okay, and we're going to edit that. Everything else is okay. Just going to edit that distro variable and put in the proper release name. So we go arrow over to it, delete, 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 okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and key in Jammy, okay? Then go arrow over to the end here, okay, good. So once you've got the key installed, you can go ahead and use curl in the root as a root user here, just like with the key before. Curl command, and then we're going to pass in the URL here. Here's the repo URL, and you see it's going to redirect it to this path here, etc apt sources list. So it's going to add this URL as an entry to our sources list. Okay, so once you've got that all keyed in, and you've given it the once over, go ahead and key on that. Okay, pretty quick. And then we're going to go ahead and verify that the repo has actually been added to our list before we use apt to install. Okay, so I can minimize the terminal real quick. Go back to the repo manager. I'm not sure if I'm going to have to. Okay, I didn't have to open it and close it. It just kind of added it on the fly. Okay, I didn't have to restart or X out the repo manager then reopen it. It just kind of added it right there on the fly. See, this wasn't here before. Now it's there. Everything else is the way it was before. OpenVPN is new here. Highlight it there real quick. Take a look at it. Okay, that wasn't there before. Okay, good. OpenVPN3, and then here's the repo URL. apt is going to use this to install the package. Okay, good. Okay, back to the terminal, and finally we're going to be able to install the OpenVPN package. So we don't got to do sudo. Normally we would do sudo, but we're in the root, so we don't have to do sudo here. I'm going to use the apt install command, and the name of the package is OpenVPN3. Now, I didn't say at the beginning what version I was going to be installing because I've done some research on the new version, and I've seen where the new version is 2.6. And then I've also been on their page where it said, the OpenVPN page, where it actually said it's OpenVPN3. So I'm not really quite sure if it's 2.6 or 3. So I didn't want to say it at the beginning because I didn't want to sound like I didn't know what I was talking about. So I'm just going to go ahead and install the package, then we'll verify. We'll use the version option in the terminal to verify what version has been installed. Okay, so once we keyed that command in for apt to install the OpenVPN package, we're going to go ahead and enter on that. And it's going to run through its process. It's going to, now it says that it doesn't find it. Okay, we'll be back in a minute. Okay, sorry, I missed a step. So once we add the key in the repo, we need to run apt update. So apt will update its cache, and it will. I haven't done this for a while, so I was a little rusty. Just by virtue of adding it to the list is not good enough. That's a good start, but that doesn't mean it's available to us yet, even though it's in the sources list. Keep in mind that just because it's in the sources list doesn't mean that it's active and ready to be used, because apt has to be updated. The cache has to be updated, so apt becomes aware of it. Just by virtue of it being in the sources list doesn't mean apt is aware of it. To make apt aware that there's a new repo URL for it to hit from, then you're going to have to update apt's cache with the apt update command here. Okay, so we're still in the root as a root user in the root working directory. Okay, so you key in apt update here. Again, no sudo because we're already a root user. So now it's gonna update. Now it's gonna see it. When I ran it before, it didn't know that it existed yet, even though it was on the sources list. It didn't know it was actually there. So now it's gonna know that it's there, and it could pull from it. And I'll leave the video here running here. It shouldn't take a couple more seconds here. Once we get to this fetched part down here, that usually means we're near the end. And if you were to go ahead and scroll up here, and there's a lot here, but really quickly, yeah, okay, here it is, OpenVPN. Okay, so that's good. Now it's updated, and it'll pull from that URL. Okay, good. That was my bad. Sorry about that. Okay, we'll clear on that. Now we can use the apt install command to install that package. Now it knows about it, apt knows about it, and it can use it. Okay, apt install OpenVPN. Actually, it's OpenVPN3. Okay, that's the full proper command there. So once that's keyed in, enter on that, and it found the new package, and it's going to install OpenVPN3, and it's going to tell you what it's going to do. Not really prompting me to. Okay, that was pretty quick. It didn't prompt me for much. It just said what it was going to do. Then it went ahead and did it. Pulled from that repo URL, the deb package that lives here. You run through everything was okay. All the output, everything was good here. Okay. Clear on that. And I'm going to exit out of here. Go back to the regular user. I think we can do the rest from here. And we're going to go ahead and check for the version. Let's see if this is the right command to get the version. Okay, that's not good. Okay, finally figured out how to find out what the version is. Usually with these packages, when you're accessing the program in the terminal, usually you have to have a dash or two dashes and either version spelled out or a capital V or a small v. I looked up the proper way to display the version, and there was no dash needed. You can do a man OpenVPN3 command, or you can go online and look for a web page that has the man OpenVPN3. You can do it in a terminal, or you can go to their OpenVPN website and get some documentation and information there, or go to their GitHub repo page and get some information there as well to follow up. Okay, so I'm not going to get into the actual usage of it. We just got into the installation and then the verification that it was installed and what the version number is. And as you can see, it is indeed, looks like it's 3. I'd have to go through the documentation. I was expecting 2.6, and I'm getting 3, so I'm not really quite sure what I was supposed to actually get. I looked it up on the web, and the current version was 2.6, so I'm not sure why it's coming up 3 here. But as you can see, OpenVPN 3, and you can see it's actually version 3.7.1. But it's installed. So OpenVPN 3 has been installed on Pop! OS Linux 22.04. Okay, so a quick little recap of what we did. We went through the pros and cons of installing from source versus a Debian package, and then we checked for some needed dependency packages like the apt transport HTTPS package. We checked our repo list to see that the repo wasn't there. Then we checked after that and it was there. And we went through the steps to install the repo key, install the repo URL into our sources list, use apt to update the cache, so apt would know that to make it aware that there's a new repo URL for it to hit from. And then we ran apt install to actually install the OpenVPN3 package. And I looked in the applications here. I didn't see any GUI, so I guess there's no GUI. There might be another way of getting a GUI front end some other different way. But essentially, At this point, it's only a command line. There's only a command line engine here. And as you can see, we verified that it exists, that it actually is installed properly and on the path, and that the version is what it is here, 3.7.1. Okay, I'm Paul, and I'm the lead research technician at the How to Linux Research Labs. I thank you for watching, and I look forward to your comments and your feedback. Thank you very much. Bye-bye for now.